That's what attaches you to the higher triune being. That I am, that life, that attaches you to that triune being in this physicality. You'd be attached to your soul because you are aware that you exist. Without that awareness that you exist, well, your soul wouldn't be attached to your physicality. You would just be in that ether as part of the energy field. But if they come along and they can manipulate you and put this antenna in your body, and I've often speculated as well, the people that are dying suddenly, do they know they're dying? I mean, they look like they die to us, but do they know that they're dying?
Right.
Are they simply cutting off that signal? Are they existing in a virtual reality and they don't know it? Are we already in a virtual reality and we don't know it? How many lines down the virtual reality are we? We create this reality and we seem to be fixated on creating a sub-reality within it, like a virtual reality within this reality. Have we already done that? How many layers down are we already? And if they were to do that to you, well, if they were to still do that to you and you were still attached to that I am and you existed in a virtual reality and you're not in this reality anymore, would you know that? And would your soul still be attached to that? And they talk about the well of souls. The well of souls, which is you need a lot of souls in the well of souls to create the power you need to bring this being that they want to bring into being to make it alive. It needs that energy of those souls. Is that what they're doing? Are we already there? These are interesting questions. But I think a lot of this is a soul harvest. A lot of this is you get a choice whether to comply. Everything that they give you to do that is wrong and you comply with it anyway, you give away a little bit more of your soul. You give away more of what it means to be you. How much are you prepared to give away? And the reason we give it away eventually is like to avoid death, because we're scared they're going to come and hurt us if we don't do what we're told. Well, the one part about life which is guaranteed is you're going to die. What is your soul state going to be when you reach that death? I mean, I would prefer to die now intact than I would to give away everything it means to be alive and leave this realm with nothing left. I've given away everything. I've given away all it means to be me to other external authorities. What's left of me? What is there to even come back for? If that's what you're going to do, I would suggest this is an exam.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you think this is all a test.
Yeah, it's a soul test. It's an exam. It's like the real event comes after. How strong are you? How much are you prepared to give away of your life in order to avoid death, which is the one part of life which is inevitable. So we'll do all this stuff just to stay in the prison a little bit longer. Please don't hurt me. Do everything we can to remain alive because we're so scared of what comes after it. Well, that's actually the main event. And we're taught to fear it. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So I think a lot of this is a soul test. It's an exam. And so what we're in really is a time of huge opportunity where we've got the possibility to see the matrix for what it is and to stand in what we truly are. That's what I see this time as being. Some people you'll never wake up. You can tell them. You can sit two people in front of information, which is the same information, and one person will sit there and get it, and the next person just won't see it. And it's the same as like in Westworld, when you show them the plan, here you are, you're a robot, here's your design, and they look at it and go, I can't see anything to see here, They can't see it, and you'll never ever wake them up. And sometimes even if they do see it, as soon as they leave the room, they go straight back into the matrix. They just kind of comprehend it because and say they accept it and they see it because it's the socially acceptable thing to do because everyone else is saying they see it, but they really don't, It's crazy, and I think they've done it before. Like I've said, I mean, I think that's what a lot of this is about. And you were saying before about the nano world and things getting smaller and stuff. I would suggest they've done that every time as well. Every reset, we're a smaller species than what we were. All of the talk of giants from the old days, all the monuments with the huge steps and huge doorways, giant books are like 7 or 8 feet tall, a book. Whole libraries of these things, not just novelties. You don't just build a library of 8-foot books because you want to do that. I mean, you need a crane to get these things down off the shelf and read them, So what are they doing existing? I would suggest that they make us smaller every time. And I've often said to people, I think we're like the fairies. We're like Tinkerbell, but we've lost our wings. And we're running around in the long grass and we think that we're big and we think that all these things are trees. I think that the world was huge, that the life forms here were huge. I don't agree with the model we're given of what the Earth is. I don't agree with the flat Earth movement either. I don't agree with any of the models of the Earth that we're given so far. But I know one thing, and that's it's not what they tell us it is. Perhaps it is a virtual reality. Perhaps they just find a way, the way we make circuit boards smaller and smaller and smaller. Like back in the 50s, a computer was the size of 2 or 3 floors of the MIT building, and now it's the size of a cell phone you can fit in your pocket, which is far more powerful than what that computer was. It took up 3 or 4 floors of the MIT building. So the way we reduce circuit boards, the way we reduce microchips and make everything smaller and smaller and smaller, I think they've done that with us on every reset as well. Interesting concept, but I think that's what they've done. So I mean, it's an opportunity. All this stuff is an opportunity, and in a way, it's a form of soul purification. If you were, like I said, we've reached a point of spiritual bankruptcy that we've reached. How do you purify the overall consciousness of this reality, where you give them the opportunity to kill themselves and get out of the picture? Yeah, take the jab. How much can we do to you? How much can we impede on your ability to be you and take control of your own bodily autonomy? You're going to let us do it. Well, you're not worth really being here for the reset. You're not really worth being here for what's going to come after, because it's you people who've created all the problems through your compliance. But we're not going to kill you. We'll just let you do it to yourself. So here, take the jab. And a lot of people go and do it, I mean, if you were, I often say, there's only really one of us here. We're each a thought in the mind of God. What would you do if you were God? You'd probably get pretty bored just being this omnipotent being. You'd want to shatter your consciousness into 8 billion different fragments so you could experience duality. You could come up with all sorts of concepts, and you'd put yourself in this reality and filter out those bits of those defective pieces, which is really what's going on here. What's going to come through this at the other side may be totally wiped out most of humanity. They may kill 6 billion people. Who knows? We may come through this with the 500,000 or the 500 million that they want. But most of those people are going to be awake. All of the people who are really awake and are really aware are not going to be complying with any of this. Even if they've got to go grey, even if they've got to go live in the mountains and sit there and watch the tidal wave come and watch the wars and watch it all burn and crash and die in front of them, still you're going to have an essential purity of human spirit that's going to come through the other side. I think that's a lot of what we're here to do, is to help people maintain that focus so that what does come out the other side contains that spark of beauty, that spark of divinity that exists within all of us that so many people have lost contact with. So in many ways, it's a form of soul purification. Like I've said so many times, you can't have any stake in the outcome. I mean, sure, I love humanity and I love people, and I try to do what I do because I think it's important that spark of divinity does make it through the other side. So of course, the more people we can awaken to go through that tunnel, the better. So I mean, I think it needs to be done, what we're doing. I mean, we all have an opportunity to contribute something positive to it. But ultimately, I won't be here. I mean, I'm 66. By the time all this is over, it'll be 2050, 2080 even. I'm not going to be here in that time. So it's what I can do for the human experience while I'm here, and what sort of a legacy I can leave behind for others, I think. I mean, I think that's the purpose of all of us, to leave something behind for others, to try to improve the overall state of human consciousness, but also to realize that it's your path, it's your journey. What happens to the other people, that's their choice. All you can do is offer them a perspective in the hope that it helps, but ultimately it's their choice. And really what's important is what you do with your soul, what you do with your autonomy, what state your consciousness is in when you leave this realm. That's the important part.
Can I just tell you something? That in the Pfizer documents, in the 9,000 side effects, one of them is deja vu. And when I saw that, I was like, what the fuck? How would they even know to put deja vu? So
that's one of the side effects of the jab, deja vu.
Yes.
Because you're on this just confirms what I was saying to you before about how they've done this before, and they keep harvesting your soul and getting you into the mainframe. See, every time you come here, you've got an opportunity to escape the realm so you don't have to come back. I would suggest that if you're in a state of pure spiritual consciousness when you leave the realm, you won't even get the option to walk into the right light. You'll just go straight back to source. And I think we have an opportunity to change the path that we're on. We come back here and we just keep messing up. We just keep doing it. We just repeating the same patterns. We've got certain preferences for certain foods or certain alcohols or certain drugs or certain sex or whatever. We just keep going down that path and we keep corrupting ourselves along the way. We have these deja vus. Oh, yeah, been here, done this before. You're not learning anything. You're coming back and you're not learning anything. Even when you come back here and you want to know stuff, you go and ask someone and they'll tell you to do your research. research. I won't tell you to go search for the answer. I'll tell you to do your research because you've done it before. You came here, you asked me this question the last time you were in your life, like the teachers at school. They're just NPCs. They're the same NPCs, the same robot, the program people that you asked the questions of last time. So they're not going to tell you to go search. Oh, it's you again. Research, research, And I think we have an opportunity to change all that. And that's what I think all the deja vus are about. But like I said, I haven't had a deja vu in 18 years since I went onto this path. So perhaps that speaks for something,
Yeah.
Well, it could be, but is the Earth what they tell us it is another question with all that. I mean, I did all of this stuff in the 90s. I looked at all the different concepts for the Earth, whether it's round, whether it's hollow, whether it's flat, whether it's concave, whether it's a hologram. I looked at all this stuff in the 90s before we even had Windows properly. I used to go and get DOS readouts and stuff from the library and get it all printed up and take it home and read all this redacted documents and all sorts of stuff. I've got a folder at home in my bookshelf in Australia, which is like probably 3 or 4 folders of those binder folders that you get.
Wow.
And on all of different concepts for the Earth. And I figured out back in the 90s that no model works. You can get like 95% of the way on all of them, and then you find a problem. So you can't completely prove whether the Earth is round, whether it's flat, whether it's hollow, whether it's holographic, whether it's concave, whatever it is, And I figured out back then that the only reason these questions even exist is because we're not free, because the information is so controlled. We don't have access to all those old books. They've gotten rid of them. Any books that were worth anything were taken into the Vatican Library and hidden from us. So we need to establish freedom. Then we won't have to argue about what this realm is. We won't have to argue about what we are, because we'll have all the information at our fingertips. And everything this society has done, even a lot of the research people do, they go down particular rabbit holes, and it's done to divide them. I said in my very first film, The Big Picture, back in 2008, that the best way to conceal a real conspiracy is to create a conspiracy culture around it, so that everything becomes a conspiracy, so people can't see the forest for the trees, and they throw the baby out with the bathwater every time. And every time information is released, if there's a leak of something important is released, they don't try to cover it up. They'll just embellish it to the point that it becomes unbelievable. And then people throw the baby out with the bathwater. There'd be something come out about some government corruption thing, and suddenly before you know it, the guy reporting it saying his mother was an alien, So so it just discredits the whole thing, and that's the way they do it. They embellish information to the point that they discredit the information.